Okay, kiddos, now we are starting our first day of review for our third and last DCP. So let's go and take out our 6.1 notes. They should look like this. And let's look at the first page and let's talk about the major things that we need to remember from this. Okay, so we need to remember, of course, that bisect means to split into two equal parts, right? And we could be bisecting an angle or we could be bisecting a segment. Okay, so with an angle bisector, it's going to bisect an angle. So it's going to cut this angle, right, BAC, into two equal angles. And you see they have one arc on each one, right? So it bisects it into BAD and DAC. A median is a segment. It goes from a vertex through the middle, right? That's why it's called the median, and divides into two equal segments, right? If it goes through the middle, each side is equal. Okay, so that's the main thing that we need to know from our first day of notes. Okay, now let's look at our second day of notes, right? So 6.2, right? So on this one, this over here is the main things that we need to focus on. We talked about points of concurrency, which is the point where the intersection of the line. So if we had three lines that meet at the same point, we could call it the circumcenter, incenter, centroid, or orthocenter, depending on what it was formed by. Okay, perpendicular bisectors, angle bisectors, medians, or altitudes. So this is the main thing that we need to remember. Okay, when it looks like this is called medians, right? Because these go right to the middle, right? So if these go to the middle, if these go to the middle of each side, and we know it's the middle because it has those symbols on each side, right? That tells us the midpoint. Three midpoints create a centroid, right? And those are called medians, right? If it's a perpendicular to the vertex, right? Perpendicular, we know it's perpendicular because it has that 90-degree symbol, then it's called altitudes, right? And they create an orthocenter. Okay, then we talked about the circumcenter. Circumcenter is created by perpendicular, right? Bisectors, perpendicular bisectors. It's perpendicular because we see that 90, and it's bisecting because it cuts that segment into equal parts. That's called the circumcenter, right? And then we said the last one was the angle bisector. So as you can see, this is the only one where we have that symbol right there of the angle. And you can see it has two arcs on this one, right? And then two arcs on that one, so it cuts that one in half, cuts that in half. So those are angle bisectors, and three angle bisectors make the incenter. Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's take a look at our next page. Okay, so what we need also know about this centroid is this right over here. Okay, so the centroid is a crucial one. That's why we had that star on there. It's formed by three medians, okay, and it has a 2-to-1 segment ratios from the vertex, okay? So if you look over here, it has a 2-to-1 ratio. What that means is for each of these parts, say we cut it into three pieces, three equal pieces. This would be two of those pieces. This would be one. That would be one, and this would be two. That would be one, and that would be two. So we can always separate into three pieces, and that would be one, and that would be two. So that we're going to remember that for the centroid. All right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to practice for the DCP. So what we've done is we got three different levels of questions. We got level 1, okay? Then we have, if we look on the other page, the next page, then we're going to have level 2 and level 3. So we're going to start with level 1. So they may have some of these questions on there, a few of these questions, but not a majority. But these are the basic one, as you might imagine with the level 1. So we definitely should be able to get these. So it says, name the point of concurrency shown in this picture. Okay, so you should be looking at your notes that we just looked at last time. Okay, so here's what we noticed. We noticed that this right over here, right? It's in the middle. It's the midpoint, right? Okay, and then we recognize that this is perpendicular, right? So those are called perpendicular bisectors, right? Perpendicular bisectors, and those form circumcenter. Okay, so that's our answer, circumcenter. All right, so I'm going to challenge you to see if you can get these on your own first, and then then you can watch the video of me doing it. All right, next question. Three angle bisectors intersect to form what point? All right, what's your answer on that one? Okay, we know that 3 angle bisectors form the incenter. Incenter. Okay, all right, next. Apply the basic principles of line segments for each segment. Okay, it says find the length of AB. So AB goes from A to B, right? So we're thinking about right this. So pause the video, see if you can get the answer. Okay, well, what do we notice? If we notice this, it cuts this into 2 equal parts, right? So that's the midpoint. Then we also know that this one is going to be equal to that one. Okay, so if this one is 9, that means this one is also 9. Okay, so the length of AB equals 9. All right, so next, let's go on to our next level. Okay, so now these are the level 2 and then level 3 questions. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is see if you can get both of these level 2 questions first on your own, and then we'll go over these. Okay, so see if you can get these on your own. All right, so this one says find the distance of SU. Okay, so SU, let's trace that out from S to U, right? So this right here. Okay, and we notice it's represented by 2x plus 2, right? So SU is 2x plus 2. Well, to know what that is, we need to figure out what x is, right? And then we're going to substitute into there, right? We'll say 2 times a certain number plus 2, and that will be equal to SU, right? So we got to first figure out what that x is, right? So what do we know? Well, let's look over here. If this is 10 and this is 10, then we know from our first page that this and this also has to be congruent, right? If those are congruent, that means that those are congruent, right? And that's why we have those. So if those are congruent, we can say that this equals this, right? We would say 2x plus 2 equals 3x, right? And then we would know, okay, I'm going to solve for x, and then I'll just substitute the x in there, right? So keep it going. All right, so hopefully you said we're going to subtract the 2x, right? We're going to do the opposite of 2x. So negative 2x is the opposite of positive 2x is negative, right? Going to bring down the 2. And then 3 minus 2 gives us 1x, right? So 1x is the same thing as just x. So x equals 2. So if x equals 2, that means that's what I'm going to substitute right over here, right? So that means SU equals 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2, which is going to be equal to 6. So SU equals 6. All right. So see if you can get this next one on your own. Okay. So let's go back. I'm going to go. So think about what we talked about on the first page about this one. Okay. So we talked about what we said with the centroid. Okay. What we need to remember with the centroid, it has a 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, of the medians. Right, that's the main thing that we need to remember. Okay, so let's check this out. It says in triangle XMG, point Y is the centroid. Okay, so if that's the centroid, right, that's telling us, oh, we're dealing with medians, right? If we're dealing with medians, oh, okay, then we got that 2-to-1 ratio, right? It says if YG is 18, so YG, what's that? YG, right? YG, okay, this much, right, is 18. Okay, it says they want to find the distance of FG. So FG, we can kind of highlight this. FG would be the whole thing, right, from there to there. Okay, well, what do we know? We said this is a 2-to-1 ratio. What that means is if we had, say, F, right, then we have Y, and we have G. This is a 2x to 1x ratio, right? That makes sense. This is 2-to-1. So if this is 18, 2-to-1 means this is half of whatever this is, right? So if this is 18, I would say Fy is equal to 18 divided by 2, right? So that's equal to 9. So that means that is equal to 9, right? So Fg is 9. So that's the wrong answer, right? Because Fy is 9. They want the answer for Fg. So Fg is from here all the way to here. So what would we say? Okay, FG is going to be with 9, and that's 18. So the whole thing is 27. So that's why our answer is D, 27. All right, so hopefully you got those on your own. Make sure you do those level 2 questions in Delta Math now. All right, so now these are the most difficult ones. This is level 3. So pause the video. I want to see if you can get this on your own before we go. All right, so here's what we know. As we talked about, this says, this one's centroid, right? That's a key one, right? Centroid should be telling us that we're dealing with medians, right? And that's why this is on our level 2 and level 3. So I definitely think this is going to be covered heavily. All right, so centroids. All right, so what we do know these are on a 2-to-1 ratio, right? On the medians, 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, so if we know that, let's take a look over here. It says ML is 24. ML. Okay, ML is the whole thing. So let's take a look. If I did M, right, and then L, and then Y, right? M, L, and Y. I'm looking at this right here. Okay, ML is 24. Okay, so the whole thing, right, is 24. Let me draw that better. The whole thing, right, is 24. Okay, so the whole thing is 24. Then it says x plus my is x plus 4. X plus 4 is my. Okay, so the whole thing is 24. Okay, so if the whole thing is 24 and it has a 2-to-1 ratio, the whole thing is 24. I'm going to divide it into 3 parts, right? So I'm going to say each part is going to be 8 for each third, right? Each third is going to be 8, right? So that means this is 8, right? And if that's 8, and this is on a 2-to-1 ratio, if this is the 1, this would be 2 times 8, right? So this would be 16, right? So if that's the case, find the value of x. This is my. My is 16. 16 equals x plus 4, right? So if x plus 4 equals 16, then we subtract 4, x equals 12. Okay, so that means x equals 12. So our answer is C, 12. Okay. All right, so we don't want to get tricked into thinking 16 because x plus 4 would be 12 plus 4, which is 16. They want my. My is 16. If ML is the whole thing is 24, that means that my is 16. That means x has to be 12. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know. You got this.